Hello friends, and welcome to my channel for another action figure vehicle video. Now I say another because, as you can see, I've done several. I customized them. I built this turtle van, I built this tumbler here. I was actually the first person, at least on the internet, to cut the canopy on the 89 and resize it to be the correct, more screen accurate profile to it. So I'm a Batmobile guy. I love having all of the Batmobiles in my collection, and if they don't exist, I make them. So naturally, when this got announced, I was pretty excited, and I ended up getting it. At first, I wasn't going to because I'm not historically like the biggest fan of this Batmobile. However, Batman Forever is one of my favorite Batman movies. It came out when I was 10, so take that with a grain of salt for nostalgia purposes. But I do think it's a good Batman movie. So I was excited to get my hands on this and added to the overall collection. Now, obviously, it's not totally screen accurate, as is the case with pretty much all of the McFarlane stuff so far. But we're going to get it out of the box, take a look at it, and then I'm also going to try to get it on the workbench and open it up and see if we can't tint that green into the blue that's supposed to be. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Okay, so here it is just out of the box, and I have not put the fins on yet. The fins come rubber banded to the bottom of it in this cardboard here. And I haven't put them on yet because I'm going to be turning it upside down on the workbench to unscrew the bottom panel off. And to do that, you don't want the fins on.
Got a little scuff. Send it back. Send it back. Yeah, I mean, it looks great.
Like, it looks like the Batmobile is supposed to be. It's going to look better lit up. One inaccuracy right off the bat is that this is supposed to be like open. You're supposed to be able to see in between these like grill pieces here. To see more of the blue light and mechanics of the car. There's a version of me that might cut that open and put some stuff behind it, but I don't think that guy exists anymore. Because it's a lot of work for, once it's on your shelf, you kind of don't really remember that it's there like that anymore. So we'll see. I would like to replace the headlights, these just black pieces. I think it'd be cool to cut those out. I don't know how doable that is. I'd probably have to drill into that. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, this isn't going to be a full customization video. One of the cool things about this that I really like is they managed to make the bats fixed here. So the wheels, we'll do the back here. The wheels rotate and the bat stays in place, which is great because that's how it's supposed to be. To activate the sounds once there are batteries in it, you press right here. And to pop the canopy, you press the other side. And that pops right out. And as you can see, it's a one-seater, but I believe this car was a one-seater in the movie, so they got one right. Nice dash details. Those are all little stickers. But yeah, they gave us a little more than we got with the 89 on that, so that's nice. And I'm curious to cross-compare this to like the Jazz Inc. version, which is a very faithful replica. Now, one thing I do really like about this too is the way that they did these buttons. On the 89, the button was right here, and it just has a little like kind of, you notice it, right? But here, they're camouflaged really nicely to be this whole panel. So there's your button for the sound, there's your canopy button, and I just think that's a nice solution. So yeah, that's a brief overview of the vehicle. I'm really curious to get some batteries in there and get it lit up. So we'll do that real quick, and then I'm gonna open it up and see what's what on the inside. All right, batteries are in, and this thing has two modes. The first mode is very annoying. The lights flicker, so if you're photosensitive, if blinking lights are a problem for you, skip this part. It's gonna blink rapidly. There's gonna be a sound of like the motor going, and then the light will hold for a second, and then it'll turn off. Now, I can't quite tell where the speaker is. I think it's somewhere back here. Let's try the second mode. This is much more preferable. Now, if you'll notice, this is actually somewhat of a relief, and I think a lot of people will be somewhat happy with this. The green that you see is really only in this center section here. It's pretty blue, like in the wheels. They're much more, almost like there's a blue tint to them, but it's more of like a cool white almost. Like an icy white. And then in the front here, that's pretty much all blue as well. Now it looks like it's just a white light in there, and then the tint of the that inlay, that plastic, the clear bit is like frosted blue. But yeah, so that's pretty blue looking compared to the center, which is very green. So, and it does shut off after a little bit, which I think is probably a good thing, because it doesn't drain your battery, but also like you don't get to just keep it lit up. You can cycle through and get through the annoying one. I find it annoying. You might like it, so I'm not here to cast judgment, but I do really wish that this lit up. And, you know, again, that's something maybe when I have some more time and I'm feeling more ambitious, I might try to cut that out. But just, they make this stuff out of pretty thick plastic, and it's such an intricate design. Trying to cut stuff out of that 89 was such a pain. I'm really not trying to do that again. So, and I don't know if I love this Batmobile version enough to be doing all that, but we're going to try to make it blue. We're going to see if we can make it bluer. So I'm going to turn this thing upside down, take the bottom cover off, and we'll see what's what on the inside. Oh, and I do want to mention too, to get the battery cover off, it's just this little thing at the back here. You have a single Phillips head screw, and then it's 3 AAA batteries. All right, I've got it open, and I've got some good news. So first of all, there are, I think, 15 screws. They're all identical. They're on the bottom, they're all Phillips head. So you just turn it upside down, unscrew all those. And then there are 2 little screws that you don't need to worry about. Those hold in the headlights, but those are on the bottom piece, so you don't need to take them off to separate. But it is good news that you can remove these if you want to, you know, change out the lenses or something like that. So once we're inside this thing, it's pretty straightforward. The assembly is pretty similar to the 89 in that once you take the bottom off, the cockpit pieces are attached to the top half of the car. So if you want to mod all that, there's more screws to take out, and you can do that. We're not going to worry about that right now. What we are going to look at are these pieces. So as I suspected, here's the switch to it. The lights are kind of an icy white. And so what that means is these pieces are where the color comes from. So they're kind of a blue color, and where there's no light coming through, that's where it looks green. And so you can see here when I put it above that light in the center, it has that blue tint as well. A couple things we can do here. We can try to add another light to the center. And you could just get a separate, I wouldn't worry about like soldering anything. You could just get separate bulbs and tie them into these red and black wires here. That should probably work. You know, it's pretty easy to do. You literally just clip the wire sleeve and then wind the same color pieces together. But I'm not really trying to do all that. So I think the move might be to try to put some blue behind this thing. I have some transparent blue, like I think they're like acrylic lens sheets that I got for making lenses for the 89 Batmobile out of. So we're gonna get a blue piece, we're gonna cut it to fit behind this, and we're gonna see how that looks. Okay, a little snag in the plan. Don't mind this by the way. This is my paint rag. It's my rag for my paints. I just wanted something soft under the shell so I didn't scratch it up on the workbench here. So the LEDs for this are inserted into the ends of this. So there's literally a hole that is the exact size of the bulb that those are just slotted right into. Where that becomes a challenge is because if I were to stick this blue sheet behind here, it doesn't do anything to change the color of the light because the light is in front of it. See that? It looks exactly the same. However, if I put this in front of it, that's blue, baby. That looks really good. So this may actually be just as simple, but instead of putting this behind, we're gonna put it in front. You know, I'd like to retain the texture being exposed, but you know, if you want it to look right, unless you want to resituate the bulbs, which I do not want to do, I think this is going to be a good way to go. So we're literally just going to cut a piece that matches this. The other option is to just take some double-sided tape and stick it to the inside of the grill here. That's what covers it, like that. Onto the wheels. The wheels are a bit less straightforward. Let me go handheld for a second here. Gosh, head on that barely looks tinted at all, but you can see how it's blue on the other side. Okay, so the wheels. The wiring for the lights goes straight through the center, and then there's this insert piece here that I bet you could probably kind of try to pinch and pull that out somehow, I think you could probably take this kind of bezel piece off here along with the tire, and you would have this center piece left in there somehow. You can see it is attached, like there's a seam right there where my thumbnail is. So you would have to pry that off somehow. I don't really want to mess with it too much because I don't know how it's in there. I mean, for me, these are probably blue enough. The issue we're going to run into is it's not quite going to match, right? So, I mean, we could cut out a circular piece and stick it in there, but because this goes over the top of that, it's not like you could wedge it in and have it sit behind, like held on by this bezel piece. And I don't know that it's a big enough deal for me to find out, honestly, in this version of the Batmobile, not being one of, in my like top tier. I think I'm okay with it looking like this. Let's see where I'm gonna cut some of these out, and I'll have a link to where you can get these. This is just stuff you can get on Amazon. Okay, so what I've done here is just taken a Sharpie, and these have a like a film on them to keep it from getting scratched up. So you peel the film off once you cut it. But basically I just stuck it in like that and traced with a Sharpie along where it's actually gonna run on the inside of that grill. And then I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to use that as a template to cut a second one. Now while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and do this top piece here too, where it comes through the hood. So make sure when you're cutting this, because they only give you one sheet of each, cut it in a way that you can still have enough space for that other piece. So basically, as you can see, this is just going to slide right up in here and fill it in like that. And then I'm going to take some double stick tape and put it along the inside of these ribs here and press this up against it, and that should hold it in place pretty well. You could glue it if you want to. Glue can get messy and it can eat through this kind of acrylic, so if you're using super glue, which is what you would need to use. So I'm just gonna use my trusty double-sided tape. Now, I don't know what brand to point you in the direction of, because I use the stuff that came with a window kit back in an old apartment I had. It had like crappy old windows, so I'd have to get that clear plastic to line the windows with to keep the draft out, and it comes with this stuff to attach it to the windowsill. The brand is Frost King. I would hate to send you to the store to get a whole thing of window coverings just for this kind of tape, but it comes with a big roll, and I've been using this for years, so that's what I'll be using. Okay, so doing a little test shot here, and something interesting happened. I got the cover on with the blue screen in there, and it's much better, but it still looks green in the middle. I can't tell how well it's picking up on camera. Not super well. It looks more green to the naked eye. So to me, that means I need more light in the center, because you've got it on both ends, and that's where it looks the bluest. In the center, it looks green. Need some light behind there. So I was like, I really don't want to have to like cut these wires open and splice, more light bulbs in there. And I have this pack of LEDs from Amazon. I bought a bunch of them for a project. I have extra. So I said, okay, let me try something. And let me zoom in here. Down here on the left, where the bulb goes into the plastic, there's a little bit of the wiring exposed. So I took one of these bulbs and I just clamped the wire tips onto the exposed bit of the wire. And wouldn't you know, it worked. Now this bulb isn't as bright as the other ones, I don't think, but it's something. And it actually will blink with the blinking light as well, which is cool. So when I turn this on and I stick it right here, it's a very faint one, but there is light there. So I would suggest getting brighter ones than this, but this is gonna work for, I think, these purposes. And I think maybe the way this is, it's just greener in the center. Like it might just be the way that the dyes or coloring of this thing worked out, but it is more green in the middle. So that may be unavoidable, but I think with this helping along with the blue overlay, I think we'll have a better looking setup. Okay, so I got an extra bulb on both sides that show up in the middle there, and I got the blue screening in there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is there were two little screws that held this in. I'm taking this out. I'm going to make a template on the blue stuff and then line that as well. Now the one challenge to that is that the discolored plastic is still on top. So it doesn't quite match this side of it. Like this is more blue than this up top, unless you have the lights on. Once the lights are on, they match. But, you know, it's just kind of a different color, which isn't entirely inaccurate. And I'll get into why that is once we get this all put together. Also, I forgot to mention the speaker is in the afterburner. So I disconnected these from each other just to make working on this top half easier. And now I'm going to plug them back in and put this thing back together. All right, here it is all lit up, and I think it looks pretty great in that blue color. Now, a couple things. One, I didn't put the big tail on the back because I think it's ugly, and I'm kind of tempted to leave it like this. I was gonna wait and see if it would fit in the shelf before I actually put it on, and then I was like, you know what, this car looks so much better without it. And I know that's not screen accurate, but I don't give a shit. I think it looks pretty cool like this, and it's my shelf, so I might just leave it like that. We'll see. Barring that, couple things to talk about. So I looked up some footage from the movie, and I looked up also the review from Justin's collection of this car in the Jazz Inc. 1/6 scale format. Now, obviously, there's a bunch of detailing that isn't on this, and you know, maybe one day I'll add some of that, but I did all that to the Batman 89 Batmobile that McFarlane put out, or rather the Flash version that, you know, same car. And it took me weeks and weeks, and I don't have that kind of time right now. So the quick blue fix will suffice for now. But looking up some of the details, you know, there's some extra chrome details here, I believe. There's like a chromed out, or at least metal step pad right here. As far as the wheels, the way they light up is actually pretty accurate. They are kind of like a lighter blue, almost like a white in the center. So I think that the way these look is actually the way it should look. This stuff it's tricky because the actual car, this wasn't clear. This was, you know, mechanical bits, side piping and stuff like that was illuminated. So what you had is actually like a darker core to it, and then just it's lit from all different sides to kind of highlight everything. So to make this actually accurate, one would need to paint this clear panel to look like it does in the movie with different silver and metal bits and chrome and whatever and black. And then you would add LED lights around it and through it to give it the right look. Same thing with the top. So, you know, that could be something cool to do later on down the line. And I think there's room to have little bulbs in here to do what we're talking about, or like a little, you know, they make little LED rope light things. But I think, you know, for now, given that this is going to go on a shelf and not be super accessible because I'm going to have I have like plexiglass in front of it, I think this is going to be certainly sufficient. A couple other little details I learned about. This cutout area I was talking about in the beginning of the video is actually like grill pieces, and then some of the lighting comes through from back here. So it is backlit, but not in the same way it is up here and on the sides. It's just sort of residual lighting, I think, from what's back here. But, you know, a metal grill in there would look super cool. So that would be, you know, another thing down the line to try to do. The nice thing is this thing is basically hollow, so you can access like all of it. I want to go a little closer because I want to show you some cool stuff here that I hadn't quite noticed before. Now, first of all, this is not a window. This is solid glossy plastic. So, you know, it was very dark on the actual vehicle, so I see why they did it like that. It also probably kept them from having a miscolored canopy issue like they did with the 89. So when you pop this open, now also this is supposed to be a two-seater, at least according to the Jazz Inc. one, which is, you know, an accurate replica. So that's another ding for this one, is that it doesn't have two seats. And this is not accurate at all. It looks cool, and it's nice that they added some stickers because the 89 didn't have any. It just had a little bit of maybe a little bit of paint, but not really. But a cool thing about this is that when you actually light it up, the interior, you know, the cockpit gets lit up because it is open to the rest of the vehicle. In the 89 Batmobile, this was like a box, and in this it's much more of just kind of a tray that he sits in, and then you know, it opens up to the rest of the car. Now you can see where I wired in the bulbs, you know, that does help illuminate it. You can also see just how green that looks on right in here. I mean, that is very green. There's no way around it. But with this extra blue on the outside, it's kind of cool because what it does is make it look blue out here and then green in there. So it's almost like, you know, it's kind of a intentional thing. I don't know what color the actual interior was on the screen used car, but it's nice that this lights up because the 89 didn't light up at all unless you made it, which I did. I routed a little light bulb to the dashboard. So actually, you know, if you haven't seen that video, I did a two-parter on building that out and making it more screen accurate, so you should check that out. But yeah, you know, so all in all, it's a McFarlane vehicle. The wild thing is that he makes 7-inch scale figures, right? So that's 1/10 scale, but then they make 1/12 scale vehicles. And that's why you get a one-seater out of these cars, is because they're not meant for the scale of the figures they have. I think the Tumbler is the only one that is. I don't have that one because I made my own, and then I actually got the Moto King model kit version that's 1/12 scale that I have to put together. So stay tuned for that on the channel as well. But yeah, you know, ideally I'd be making this 2-seater. I'd be doing all that stuff. But for now, I'm actually very happy with this as it is. I think it's a pretty nice little release from them. All right, here it is on the shelf with the Batman Sonar Suit figure, which needs a repaint pretty badly, by the way. So that's something I'll be doing to this figure eventually. But yeah, final thoughts. I'm happy to have it. I'm glad it was so easy to get this time. And at first I was just gonna get the glow-in-the-dark one, but I was like, nah, you know what? I'll go for the gold label. So, you know, I got the light up one with the sound effects, obviously, and it came with Alfred. I'm a little annoyed that it's a one-seater, but I don't really expect much from McFarlane with this kind of stuff. I think after the fiasco that was the 89, you know, this was easier to obtain, like I said, so points for that. I think it's as accurate as you can get with a mass market thing like this. And at the price point, I thought it was reasonable enough. This was my first McFarlane store online purchase, so I got 10% off, which was nice. At the same time, like, nobody's giving us vehicles in this scale, really. Like, other than, you know, a few specialty things and then McFarlane. So kind of a beggars can't be choosers situation. Like I said, I'm grateful that we have it, and that I mean, I never thought anybody would make this outside of like a Jazz Inc. style company. A quick little fix. I mean, those blue sheets are not very expensive. Like, you get a whole pack of them for definitely under $20, I would say. It's been a while since I bought them, but like I said, I'll put a link in the description below. But yeah, all in all, I'm happy to have it, and I think if you got it, you'll be happy with it too. So that's it, kind of a quick and dirty video. I'm usually more polished than this, but I didn't have a lot of time, and I wanted to get this out for people because I know that a lot of people don't really want to take these things apart until they see someone else do it, and I'm kind of known for that at this point, so I thought it'd be good to get this out. Here it is with my other Batmobiles and dioramas, and I'm way overdue for a collection tour video, and this is just part of the collection. This is the main part, but it's just part of it. But you know the drill. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and click subscribe. I invite you to subscribe to the channel and join me as I make cool stuff, you know, all these customs that I make, vehicles I pair them with, vehicles that I often make or augment. Yeah, and then last but not least, if you enjoy Batman, you probably like comic books. I am a comic book artist by trade. That's my full-time job. And I have a bunch of books that are available, and I'm going to tell you about some of them now. So if you'd stay tuned and watch this last little bit, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. So that is going to do it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I invite you to click the like button and hit subscribe and join me as I make cool stuff. You know, custom figures, dioramas, vehicles to go with the figures. I review new stuff that I get on the channel. If you're looking for other ways to support this, I've got t-shirts available. My Head on Swivel shirt, as well as several other action figure and comic book themed shirts, are available in my Redbubble shop. If you've never used Redbubble, it's pretty great. You pick the color shirt, the style, and the design you want, and they ship it right to you. Now, if you're not a t-shirt person, but you like comics, I've got several comics and graphic novels available, namely my books High Crimes, Count, and Retroactive. High Crimes is kind of Breaking Bad meets Cliffhanger. Retroactive is like James Bond meets Groundhog Day, and Count is my sci-fi reimagining of the Count of Monte Cristo. Think kind of a, John Wick meets Batman meets Zorro. It's a cool story with swashbuckling action and sword fights and vehicle chases, and it's about redemption, revenge, and revolution. So those are all available at your local comic shop, bookstore, or at the links in the description below. So to everyone who's picked up a shirt already or one of my books, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. I really, really appreciate it. It really helps make it so that I can do this kind of stuff and bring you more videos. Couldn't ask for anything more, so thank you. So that is going to do it for this one. Until next time, keep your head on swivel.